Excellent covering from N'Golo Kante.
You're never exposed when you have Kante in the team.
Kante, he's urged to shoot, he might just! Kante!
Hi, I'm N'Golo Kante. Download the FlowSports app to watch Premier League football on Rush.
On the FlowSports app, you choose what you watch. Download now.
So welcome back here to Catherine Hall in Montego Bay. It's for the second game of the opening day of Flow Super Cup 2017. And Carla Redwood, the Vice President, Marketing and TV at Flow, leading the meeting party here as St. Elizabeth Technical gets ready to play against St. Andrew Technical High School in this, the second game of the doubleheader here in Montego Bay. Cassandra Dixon of St. Elizabeth Technical taking the meeting party across to greet his players, and they're going to be playing in much better conditions than Clarendon College and Calabar did a short time ago. St. Andrew Technical cheerleaders over on the far side. They have their traveling fans. So there you have it, the playing of the Jamaica national anthem. So it's St. Elizabeth Technical against St. Andrew Technical. And the St. Elizabeth Technical team will be operating in gold shorts, white and blue tops. There they are, meeting the officials. And let me just give you the names of the officials before we get the team sheet. So it's Saffron Duar, who will be running things in the middle tonight, and he'll be assisted by Damian Williams and Kadif Bailey. Sean Wright, the fourth official. There's the St. Elizabeth Technical lineup, and Cassandra Dixon, the number 10. In his 5th season at the school, would you believe it? But of course, they have an outstanding team, beaten in the semi-finals of the Ben Francis Cup, so they're fresh. And D'Angelo Brown and Clifton Woodbine played an outstanding game. And if you look at their bench, you can see that they're also littered with outstanding players as well. And let's see what they can do today. St. Andrew Technical, many people know them for their impregnable defense, breached very few times in this season's competition. So they have a compact all-round team, and their bench is also very, very sturdy as well. As we look at the team, they're coached by Philip Williams, and they're looking to probably upset the apple cart, because if you really look at form and everything coming into this game, you probably would want to think that St. Elizabeth Technical are slight favorites coming in. So we're looking at the two captains as they try to spin the toss and do the cameras and so on. So the captain of St. Andrew Technical, Jardine White, who is also the goalkeeper. Mind you, this is the second time St. Elizabeth Technical are playing at this venue since the start of this season. They played the opening game of the Manning Cup season against Jamaica College here and left with a point. So it's a good ground for them, a ground that doesn't hold much, if any, fear at all for them. And they're basically... There's Carla Redwood, the Vice President for Marketing and the TV at Flow. And conditions are very cool. It's a bit more noisy here. Not the kind of support in terms of the crowd, but you can understand that the St. Andrew Technical cheerleaders traveled all the way from Kingston, and they're going to be noisy. They're going to be noisy. They're based at Bumper Hall in Kingston. You're looking there at the goalkeeper for St. Elizabeth Technical, Kenora Wallace, just surveying his area, trying to get familiar with it. That's Romeo Wright, number 17. And number 9 just kicking it across the field, Alex Thompson. So it's St. Elizabeth Technical and St. Andrew Technical. They're standing now in opposite halves of the field. Very, very cool conditions prevailing here in Montego Bay. But what a big upset we had just now. Clarendon College beaten by Calabar High School by 4-3. A double from Colin Anderson, one from Ferguson, and the other one from Kafani Brown. So St. Elizabeth Technical will get us underway, and Romeo Wright has done so. So we're underway here in Mobay for the second game of the doubleheader on Flow Super Cup 2017 opening day. St. Elizabeth Technical against St. Andrew Technical. Shay Wright playing in the left fullback for St. Elizabeth Technical. Again, just look out for the goalkeeper from St. Andrew Technical. He's a brilliant player, not just a good goalkeeper, but a very good leader as well. Here's Woodbine having to defend very early, charge down. That's throwing to St. Elizabeth Technical over on the near side. So you're hearing the noise now in the stands, the vuvuzelas and the drums and so on. That's Woodbine. Clifton Woodbine, related to the Woodbine who played for Jamaica. Man they called Beckham, played at Reno, now playing his trade in the lower leagues in the USA. Early days yet. That's Ronaldo Webster. Rambo Wedderburn, man in charge of the St. Elizabeth Technical program. Renario Downswell and his father Wendell, also crucial cogs in the wheel at Stets as far as the football team is concerned. So into St. Andrew Technical on the near side. Taken here by Stephen McQueen. It's Rambo Wedderburn. Down on his left, his right knee, as he surveys the field. He stands away from the rest of the team. And that's the coach for St. Andrew Technical, Philip Williams. 30 years ago, they won the Manning Cup. In the year that they won the Manning Cup, they were beaten by KC. Last week, they were beaten by KC. Is that a good omen? You determine. You decide. Here they are, though. They're used to that. I can't remember St. Elizabeth Technical. Yes, St. Elizabeth Technical have played on this field this season. So both teams have sampled the field this season. Free kick one here by Stats. Very little separating the teams. Let's have a look at this. Just trying to go through the middle there. That was Shamir Gibbs. And he was stopped in his tracks by Chrysandro Dixon and co. Free kick one here by Stats. Midway there, St. Elizabeth Technical half of the field. Stets responding with a counter-attacking move of their own. St. Elizabeth Technical, very good raw team. They play on heart, skill, and never say die attitude. And just the opponent that they need to bring that out in them, because this Stats team, very compact, very intelligent, and very hard to beat. Throw into Stets over on the far side. Nice move. Wonderful move. Here's Stats on the move. And again, a play broken up in the middle of the park. Because they're so well organized, they win back the balls very, very quickly, St. Andrew Technical. And now they're off on another attacking foray. It's 2 against 2. Running away over on the far side there was Giovanni Howell. So the midfielders going high for St. Andrew Technical. Dixon marshalling the middle of the park for St. Elizabeth Technical. This is Javid Robinson. Robinson, very good move, wonderful cross. And the goalkeeper, very, very competent, just holds on to that one. Jadine White plays for the national youth team as well. So quite a number of youth players, national youth players on show here in the first 2 games of Flow Super Cup 2017. Neither team yet settled into a rhythm. Approaching 5 minutes. Here's Stets, right on top of the 18-yard area for St. Andrew Technical. The ball comes just into the 6-yard area, dealt with by Stats. They're a very, very well organized and very good defensive team. It's going to be absolutely challenging for St. Elizabeth Technical to breach their defense. Here they come though. They're not only good defensively. As I say, they're an intelligent football team. Chasing this one is John Henry, and St. Andrew Technical, with just about 5 minutes gone on the clock, have taken the lead. They are leading St. Elizabeth Technical by 1-0. And a wonderful pass out of midfield. It fell to Jevony Johnson, and he did the rest. St. Andrew Technical has hit the board. And for the second game running tonight, the team from the Manning Cup is off and running with the lead. Wonderful pass. The St. Elizabeth Technical defense caught high. And Johnson putting the ball between the legs of the St. Elizabeth Technical goalkeeper, Kenwar Wallace. And because of that, the school from Bumper Hall in Kingston are leading by a 0-0. Here they come again. Slick movement by Stats. So far, St. Elizabeth Technical not yet settled into a rhythm or a pattern. Kicked over in front of the referee was Shamir Gibbs. And the referee was playing the advantage, was just holding on to see if St. Andrew Technical would have kept the football. And the moment they lost it, the play was called back, and quite rightly so. Free kick to St. Andrew Technical. Their cheerleaders and supporters away in the grandstand area and just below our commentary point are shouting goal, goal, goal. Let's see if the team can oblige. Not on that occasion. Ball just dipping once and straight into the palms of goalkeeper Wallace. So it's a flying start to this, the second game. And the noise is deafening. The fans from Kingston are perched right below our commentary points. In time, our cameraman will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. They're right below our commentary point, and it's a lot of them. We've got very good traveling support. St. Andrew Technical with the flags and all just waving in front of us. That's the goal score there for St. Andrew Technical. Ronnie Johnson kicking the ball between the legs of Wallace in goal for St. Elizabeth Technical. But Stets now having a corner from the far side. The first one of the game for either team. We've played 7, approaching 8 minutes. Let's see what this corner will be like. A flashing header! Skimming the face of the goal. Very close shave there for St. Andrew Technical. Ronaldo Webster. Look at this. Swung in nicely. And Webster just moving his head from one side of his body in one motion to the next. Didn't head it powerfully. He just guided the ball with the power that it was, the pace it was coming with. And it's skimmed the face of the goal and behind. Very, very, very close shave there for St. Andrew Technical. A good game developing in front of our eyes here. And wherever you are around the world watching, and we see around the world because we're streaming live as well. A very good welcome to you. I was going to say good day, but I know the time zones around the world are different. St. Andrew Technical and assistant referee nearest to our commentary point says St. Andrew Technical striker, the man who got the goal, Jevony Johnson, was just ahead of the St. Elizabeth Technical defense when the ball was played through, and he correctly called back the play. Another throw into St. Andrew Technical over on the far side. So St. Andrew Technical playing a well-controlled game. They're not flashy. They're just being efficient. St. Elizabeth Technical, though, on the flip side, will have to make the moves because they're trailing and they want to get back on level terms as quickly as possible. Loads and loads of time still left in this game. But it's very crucial to be on the score sheet. It's on it already. You can't take it off. And that is why the St. Andrew Technical team is playing with the confidence and the swag that they are playing with now, because they are leading by a 0-0 and more than holding their own against one of the juggernauts of the Costa Cup in St. Elizabeth Technical. Just approaching 10 minutes. Very cool, very, very cool conditions prevailing. It rained heavily earlier, and even heavily is an understatement. But the rain has left us, and it has left us with a very, very cool evening here in Montego Bay. We're perched atop the very last level in the bleachers area, so we're seeing all over Montego Bay, right across the city skyline. And the lights illuminate the city, and it looks so really good against the backdrop of the dark spots. If I could just paint a picture for you. Back with the football. Offside against Johnson again. He's got to watch his run. The St. Elizabeth technical defense has also got to watch how far they advance up the field, because at some point they're going to be caught. In fact, they were caught out earlier on minute number 5, and they paid dearly for it. They've got to move as a unit when they move up, and they've got to move as a unit when they're moving backwards. The strategy they're employing, the offside tactic they call it, it takes some concentration. Here the ball comes across and dealt with very well there. St. Andrew Technical again, their stern nature of their defensive unit on show. David Smith is getting that one away. So they attack and defend in equal measure. St. Andrew Technical, they clearly come with a plan to hit the ball long as soon as they win it when the Stets team come forward, because they expect Stets to come forward in droves. Armani Reed. The missed kick there on the St. Elizabeth Technical player, the Angela Brown. Good control. Excellent, excellent control there from the St. Andrew Technical number 9, Barrington Bailey. Wonderful. You love to see the schoolboys do stuff like that. Just kill the ball dead, as they say in local parlance. It was just an absolutely wonderful control under pressure, and it's a wet ball. Take that into consideration as well. Stets again called upon to defend. They just can't keep Stats off them. Woodbine getting that one away. Here's Stats. The lines of communication between the two players, Shamar Gibbs and Johnson, got mixed up. Gibbs was expecting Johnson to run behind the defense, so he played it through between the two players, only for Johnson to almost stood him up. Johnson stood him up on that play, if you want to use a local term. Here's Johnson, off like a getaway train. He's speedy, holding up the ball, looking for options, trying to bring the crowd alive. He was coming back from the offside position, Bailey, but the flag wasn't waved because he didn't attempt to play the ball. It was played behind him, actually. But nonetheless, he was still in the offside position, but he didn't interfere with play because he didn't go for it. Here they come again, St. Andrew Technical. They are showing they're playing the better football at the moment. Stats asking most of the questions. Stets can't get their passing game going. Alex Thompson. Thompson back with the ball. Swings the ball across. This is Javid Robinson. Needs to get the ball in. A very good cross. That was tantalizingly close. That was a chance for St. Elizabeth Technical to get back on level terms. Very good cross there from Javid Robinson. Look at this. Right across the ground. Right into the path. That was an absolute peach of a chance. How did he miss that one? It was easier for him to score than to miss. Free kick won here by Stats again. This time over on the far side. The familiar shout, goal, 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 coming from the St. Andrew Technical Legion of supporters who have traveled all the way from Kingston. And they must have traveled in the rain down, because when they were making their way into the facility, it was raining like crazy. But they're here. Here's a free kick. Let's see what it's like. It dips before it gets to the goalkeeper, and he collects cleanly the second time of asking. Wallace in goal there for the St. Elizabeth Technical team. Quickly bowls it out and gets another St. Elizabeth Technical move in motion. Free kick won here by St. Elizabeth Technical. Let's look at it again. Ronaldo Webster was flying, and he was sent flying. Free kick, the result. Turn of St. Elizabeth Technical to effect a free kick from the far side. High, goalkeeper advancing. Didn't need to, because his defensive unit was as strong and sturdy as they've been all season. Here they come, a wide open play here. Just fooling around with the ball on that occasion was man number 7, Shamir Gibbs. Was an opportunity for an opening there for St. Andrew Technical. Steps in possession over on the far side. Captain Dixon with a lateral pass. Came very powerfully as well. And so powerful was so much pace was on the football. Woodbine just intercepting. But Dixon's pass was so powerful it almost knocked Javid Robinson out. In fact, he's still down. That was a killer pass. In every sense of the word. So Robinson being attended to. So, if you're joining us for the first time earlier, the shocking result of schoolboy football so far. Calabar High School beat Clarendon College by 4 goals to 3, knocking the Ben Francis Cup champions out of the Flow Super Cup. Remember, Clarendon College got all the way to the semi-finals last year and was beaten by Cornwall College. This year, they didn't even pass the first hurdle. In the first year of the Flow Super Cup, they didn't get past the first round either. They were beaten by Holy Trinity, who went on to lose in the final to Jamaica College. And Jamaica College will be here tomorrow night. They take on Dintel Tech. And in the nightcap, it's going to be Kingston College against Rossies. I can just imagine the crowd that will be here tomorrow night, particularly to support Rossies. No question about their traveling supporters, possibly the best supported high school football team in the country. There's St. Andrew Technical looking to increase the lead given to them on minute number 5 by Giovanni Johnson. And the intention is very clear. Play it long. Give the St. Elizabeth Technical defense the run around. Every time they get the ball, they don't look to play it on the ground or split the defense. They play it long and hope that their strikers will run onto it. And so far, it's been successful for them. They've kept the St. Elizabeth Technical defense honest. Here's Cassandra Dixon, Captain Marvel. Unable, though, to keep that one in. He's remonstrating with Javid Robinson. He was expecting Robinson to come short for it. Robinson didn't. And it forced Cassandra Dixon to come closer to the line. And eventually, because of the slippery nature of the field, he was unable to keep the ball under his feet. Here are steps. And the middle of the park. Alex Thompson, ball seems as if it's following him around. Woodbine looking very composed. Looks very much the leader of this defensive unit. Here they come, St. Elizabeth Technical with a low grounder. And that's not going to beat this outstanding man in goal for St. Andrew Technical, J.D. White. But nonetheless, an effort from Ronald Webster. He was the standout when the St. Andrew Technical team came here on September 9. In the opening game of the schoolboy football season, he had a really big day here against the defending champions. And if St. Andrew Technical are going to win tonight or going forward, he's going to have to play a big role. That's Barrington Bailey, not him. That's a Rambo Wedderburn. Omar Wedderburn, St. Andrew Technical player, is down injured. David Smith. So Calabar will be heading back to Kingston tonight. A very, 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 very happy bunch. And St. Elizabeth Technical, I'm sure, would want to join them. So Coach Philip Williams and his coaching staff taking an opportunity to direct one or two instructions as they take David Smith away for us to get a resumption. As we take a look at this once more. Wonderful pass. Giovanni Johnson was off to the races and he put the ball between the legs of Wallace in the St. Elizabeth Technical goal, and that happened on minute number 5, and St. Andrew Technical have held on to that lead until this point. 21 minutes approaching 22 now in the first half of this game. It's the second game of a doubleheader. Calabar winning the first 4-3. Still 2 more games tomorrow, and here is Johnson again. The St. Elizabeth Technical team not dealing comfortably with those long passes from midfield by the St. Andrew Technical team, but look for them to continue doing it all night because they've seen something. Clearly, this team has done its work on the St. Elizabeth Technical team. Strong sliding tackle from the man who was just taken off the field, Mr. David Smith, playing at the heart of the St. Andrew Technical defense. They're using up the wide expanse of this Catherine Hall facility. No question about it. St. Elizabeth Technical has played far more games here than St. Andrew Technical, so they're more at home here at Catherine Hall than is St. Andrew Technical. But St. Andrew Technical looking like the team that's more used to this facility. Stepson ever present in the Flow Super Cup. They've never missed out on it. St. Andrew Technical playing in it for the first time. Nice flick on. Chance for sets. From right in front of the goal. And you can see the look of disappointment and dismay on the face of O'Neill Hayden as he skied that one. Wonderful play there by Stets. Nice back heel in the 6-yard area, and it fell on the chest of this stocky, diminutive striker. Look at it again. Ball swung in nicely. It fell. Well, it didn't even touch the ground. Nice, absolutely wonderful football by St. Elizabeth Technical. Only needed to put that in the back of the net, and that's the only thing they didn't do. Good football all around. Here's St. Elizabeth Technical playing around in their area. Don't want to do that against alert strikers such as those from St. Andrew Technical. Javid Robinson. Tajay Palmer. No, Chris Andrew. And the St. Andrew Technical High School number 4, Stephen McQueen, was always favored to get there ahead of Robinson. Here they come against that. The ball played in with control. Needed to bring it down a bit more though, Barrington Bailey. Here's Bailey. Nice move by Bailey. And he wins a corner for St. Andrew Technical. So St. Andrew Technical clearly playing to a plan. As soon as they get the ball in the middle of the park, they spray it to the left high or they spray it to the right high. And it's catching the St. Elizabeth Technical defense every time they do it. Omar Wedderburn, a very, very good coach, and I'm sure he'll definitely make the adjustments when he gets into the dressing room or even before. But these high, long passes, St. Elizabeth Technical, their defensive setup is not dealing with them very well. So the long-range effort, the shot on goal, almost going for a throw. McQueen and the goalkeeper advancing, that's White. It's a well-coached football team, St. Andrew Technical, clearly playing to instructions. Again, the St. Elizabeth Technical defense almost caught out. Almost caught out. Only that Shamir Gibbs moved a shade too quickly. But I get the impression they're going to be caught again. They were caught once, and I just think they're going to be caught again if they don't fix it. They're playing three at the back. But you've got to be very, very, very careful, smart, focused for the duration of the football match to play this kind of system. Chelsea used it last year to win the Premier League, and they only went three at the back after losing in the early matches and looked as if they were out of sorts. But you've got to be very good to play it. It gives you an extra man going forward, but it leaves you vulnerable at the back if you don't play that system well. Here's Woodbine. He's getting that one away quite quickly and quite easily. He bears a stark resemblance to O'Brien Woodbine, his uncle. St. Andrew Technical with another attacking mover over on the far left-hand side of the field. They have 3-4 players waiting in the area, right just at the top of the D. They've won a throw. It's a big story of the night, Calabar beating Clarendon College. No one expected that result. Another throw into the St. Elizabeth Technical team on the near side. This is Robinson. Good move by Barrington Bailey. And Bailey took a hit in the midsection. He was able to withstand it the moment he took it because he was still running, and it clearly affected him. And the assistant referee was standing just in front of the players, had an easy call. Omar Wedderburn wasn't in agreement with the assistant referee. He got up off his perch almost immediately and remonstrated with the AR closest to our commentary point. That's Damian Williams. So Barrington Bailey is off. St. Andrew Technical clearly didn't realize or didn't remember that the free kick was theirs. They were prepared to throw the ball back to St. Elizabeth Technical. It was the referee who turned to them and said, "No, it's yours." So Stefton Duar. We're approaching the half-hour mark in this game. Ball swung into the area. Dealt with easily there on that occasion by St. Elizabeth Technical. But Shamir Gibbs was kicked over. And the referee just going across to have a word with the offending player, while he went over to have a look as well at Shamir Gibbs. Aggressive tackle, sliding in. That's Tajay Palmer. And Gibbs still down. And the medical personnel from the St. Andrew Technical bench summoned onto the field, and immediately that good old magic spray being applied. along with a piece of sponge with ice water. That is what happens in local football. Someone runs off the bench with an igloo, and when you open that igloo, it's a magic spray, some ice if it's not melted, and a piece of sponge. They don't know what happened to the player. You need a medical kit. You just never know. Walk with the kit. You could very well go out there and the player has a cut and needs immediate attention or something to get it closed. Anyway, here's a free kick by St. Andrew Technical. The wall does its job. McQueen looking to strive forward for the St. Elizabeth Technical team. But again, David Smith, the 22 at the heart of the St. Andrew Technical defense, intercepts. He reads the football game so well. Here he is again in action. He's a massive presence physically, but he has a good head on his shoulders as well. Look at him. And the point I was the end of this play. Ball flicked forward. Again, Stats defense holding up well. There's Robinson for St. Elizabeth Technical going close to the touchline. And the goalkeeper just following his defender, who is Noel Walker. Very good understanding between defender and goalkeeper. Woodbine intercepts. Bailey taking a knock while skipping out of that play. Offside. Called against Johnson, the goal scorer. He's looking around to say, me? Yes, you, Johnson. I know it's very expensive, but it may very well be worth having a first aid kit each school on their bench. Because as I say, you just never know what might be happening to the player. There's a player by the name of David Rocastle who played for Arsenal. And he was kicked to the ground. And when the medical personnel went out there to look at him, you know what? He was swallowing his tongue. They had to break his jawbone on the field, cut it, applied something to him, and cut the jaw to pull the tongue out. He was swallowing his tongue. The point I'm making, if you run out onto the field with an igloo with water and sponge, that wouldn't have helped. He would have died. So a first aid kit would have been nice. Nothing expensive, but just the bare and the basic essentials. Nicely swung free kick. Again, get that man David Smith getting the ball away. It beat all and sundry except David Smith. He's playing a champion game for St. Andrew Technical in the back. Javid Robinson, he's also playing a good game for St. Elizabeth Technical. He flies down this left wing ever so often. Free kick won here by St. Elizabeth Technical, just about 24 meters away from the St. Andrew Technical goal. And it looks as if Woodbine wants to go direct with this kick. There's a 5-man wall constructed in front of the free kick by St. Andrew Technical. Goalkeeper just piercing his goal line. Smith keeping a watchful eye on matters in the 18-yard area. Woodbine stands Cristiano Ronaldo style. Very short run up. And the goalkeeper having to push that one. It looked comfortably the favorite when the ball was falling, but a bit of pressure was applied to him by the St. Elizabeth Technical attackers, and he was forced into action. More action than he thought he initially would have. Look at this. Right there, he thought everything was okay. So I wonder if Stats had a case for a foul there. Who got that out of the way? David Smith. "34 minutes gone in the first half. St. Andrew Technical, a lead given to them on minute number 5 by Giovanni Johnson. They're protecting that lead very, very well. There was a close shave when the ball skimmed off the frame of their goal from a header from a corner from St. Elizabeth Technical. But that aside, they've been very comfortable. Here's St. Elizabeth Technical going forward. McQueen darting into the area. That touch maybe should have been the shot. He took one touch too many. The second touch should have been a shot. Force goalkeeper White into some action. You don't get that many opportunities with this Stats defense. Good interception there from the captain, Cassandra Dixon. Some midfield tussle going on. Now the ball is over wide on the left. Robinson, the second time of asking. There, the long ball again. So the three at the back for St. Elizabeth Technical, holding up since minute number 5, but there have been one or two close calls. So midfield battle going on here. Cassandra Dixon emerging with a long kick, looking for McQueen. Cut out nicely by St. Andrew Technical. They don't mess around with the ball in their area. And again, Johnson just moving a shade too early. St. Elizabeth Technical with another attacking move over on the far side. Most of their attacks have come from the far right-hand side of the field. Gibbs for Stats. Ball won in midfield by St. Elizabeth Technical. No sooner they won it, they lost it. As Gibbs remonstrating with one of his teammates. He wanted the ball on the ground instead of over this time, because he was level with the St. Elizabeth Technical defense. Here's Johnson, good speed. Woodbine not successful in stopping him in the first time. The ball just running across the face of the goal. No one there to profit. This is Howell. Johnson looking to get a header on. Not successful. And the lines of communication between the St. Elizabeth Technical defenders getting mixed up once again. In the meantime, the referee has come forward to have a look at, it looks like Gibbs. Shamir Gibbs, it looks like. Getting to see his number. So, if you're joining us for the first time, let's just tell you that the goal for St. Andrew Technical was scored on minute number 5 by Giovanni Johnson, and he benefited from a long ball played from the far side, and I'm sure in time we'll get a chance to look at that goal again for those of you who have joined us late. But Shamir Gibbs is a player down, and seems as if he's going to be okay. He's hauled to his feet, he's got to be taken off, but I'm sure he's going to be back very, very quickly. So the vuvuzelas and the drums are going off, and the carnival of football this weekend here in Mobay. David Smith just having a chat there with his players, Jamani Howell, and those girls in the cheerleading group for St. Andrew Technical have not kept quiet since they got here. And why should they? They're leading this game by 1-0 and threaten to increase that lead. Again, Johnson caught in the offside. White. Easy take. Dixon is giving the ball away on that occasion. Gibbs back on the field. Stephen McQueen. Stets wins it. Another strong interception there by St. Andrew Technical. Dixon. Right. Scrappy football from St. Elizabeth Technical. Here now is Johnson. First touch was poor. Almost got a second chance. So Johnson and Barrington Bailey are creating loads of problems for the three at the back for St. Elizabeth Technical. Here they come again, St. Andrew Technical. Skipping over that tackle. This is Robinson. Needs a good cross. Gets a good cross, but White is too good for it. Ball played behind Barrington Bailey, but Stats gets another opportunity. Johnson now will have to time his run well. And because he's been caught out so often, this time he decided only to run when the ball was played, and that gave the chance to Wallace in goal for St. Elizabeth Technical to get a head start on the striker. So cat and mouth game going on between the back three for St. Elizabeth Technical and Johnson and Bailey for St. Andrew Technical High School. Fascinating to watch. Ball is back with Robinson. Looking there for Tajay Palmer. Palmer gets a throw. Romeo Wright sold him short. Woodbine has left his defensive area and has ventured forward to effect this free kick for St. Elizabeth Technical to be swung in from the near side. High, headed away again by St. Andrew Technical. Johnson. Pushed over, says the referee, by Nick J. White. Just about 3 minutes or so to halftime. Here's Woodbine. Almost giving the ball away. Palmer. Darting downfield. Inside the St. Andrew Technical half. Ball given away yet again by Alex Thompson. So St. Elizabeth Technical, their moves, passes, not as coordinated. At times you get the impression because they're trailing, it seems as if they're rushing the play there. So in a rush to get back on level terms. And David Smith just coming across to shadow things and to get the ball away from the danger area for St. Elizabeth Technical. Free kick to St. Elizabeth Technical. Their captain Cassandra Dixon is kicked over. This is it. He's lifted the Acosta Cup 2 times. Cassandra Dixon is captain for the St. Elizabeth Technical team. Nice long ball in the area. And a challenge. Not a bad shot. Corner to St. Elizabeth Technical. Wonderful turn there. That was just very good football play from Ronaldo Webster. St. Andrew Technical defense for one made to look ordinary. Look at this turn. Beautifully done. And in fact, it was a defender who came back and almost kicked the ball in his own net. Noel Walker. Good pace. Whistle on the play. A penalty for St. Elizabeth Technical. And a yellow card to, it looks like, David Smith. Or is it to goalkeeper White? We'll know in just a bit. But it's a penalty to St. Elizabeth Technical. The ball was taken. Well, let's have a look and see what happened here. We'll have to have a look at that again. And there's applauding the... So, Woodbine is the man tasked with the responsibility just on the stroke of half-time to give St. Elizabeth Technical parity going into the break. 2 minutes of added time. We're into the second of those 2 minutes. And Clifton Woodbine, the number 7, the heart of the St. Elizabeth Technical defense, is taking a number of steps backward. Now he approaches, and saved by the goalkeeper. It has to be retaken. Will the penalty be retaken? Yes, it has to be. Did the goalkeeper move before the kick was taken? I'm not sure. Let's see that again. What happened? The referee says a retake will have to take place, and Woodbine will get a second opportunity. Chrisandra Dixon is captain, trying to G him up. A la in basketball, when the player has a free throw, the players go up, high five, spot him with a touch of good luck. Woodbine again. This time, he makes no mistake. And St. Elizabeth Technical, on the stroke of half-time, have restored parity. 1-1 as the teams head to their respective dressing rooms. The play will have to be restarted, and then it will be half-time. Woodbine runs to his coach, and he gets a congratulatory hug. St. Elizabeth Technical, because of this piece of action from Clifton Woodbine, kicking the ball to the left of Jadine White in goal for St. Andrew Technical. And it's 1-1. Let's remind you that it's a play to the finish, but it will not involve extra time. 90 minutes, if they're level, they go straight to penalties. And I'm sure as the restart, it will be half-time. And it is. The players are, well, the referee says it, they have to do it again, just like a penalty. So the first 45 minutes of this game is now history, and it's 1-1, 1 apiece, just like the first game. It was 1-1 at the end of the first 45 minutes, and the St. Andrew Technical and St. Elizabeth Technical have followed suit. So at the break, the teams go to their dressing rooms knowing that they have it all to do when they come back for the start of the second half. So it's 1-1 at the moment. Goal in the 5th minute by Giovanni Johnson has given, it gave St. Andrew Technical the lead. And then that's Clifton Woodbine getting the equalizing goal. And because of that, it's 1-1 heading into the halftime break. So David Smith bearing responsibility for that penalty, and he's hard on himself, and you can understand why. He plays the game hard, a proud man, and he feels he's let his team down, and he's getting some words of encouragement from a member of the coaching staff from St. Andrew Technical. More support coming for David Smith, and clearly he needs the support. Let's have a look at the highlights. Romeo Wright getting this on the way. And look at this long pass. Johnson in line with the defense. And putting it between the legs of goalkeeper Wallace in goal for St. Elizabeth Technical. A close-up look at it. And the 11 beat the 13. And that happened on minute number 5. 1-0 in favor of St. Andrew Technical. That one skimmed the face of the goal. Another effort there from Ronaldo Webster. And here's another one deep in the area. Romeo Wright should have done better with that one. Kicked the ball high over the bar. Looking around for somewhere to hide. Clifton Woodbine forcing the goalkeeper into some action. And they're coming together there between White and Romeo. White sliding to make sure that he keeps that one. And that's the incident. David Smith on the line. And Woodbine having to do it twice. Got it right the second time of asking. Well, he didn't get it wrong the first time of asking. Clearly the goalkeeper moved before the ball was kicked. So he got it right, even though he had to do it the second time. And that's it for the halftime. As we look at the stats, 1-1 at the top. St. Elizabeth Technical bossing possession. And they're even on shots on target. St. Elizabeth Technical shots off target. They're leading in that as well. Not a lead that they are proud of. And way more fouls for St. Andrew Technical. And the only yellow card of the game shown to a St. Andrew Technical player. So at a halftime break, it's 1-1 between St. Andrew Technical and St. Elizabeth Technical. We're going to go for a break. When next you hear from us, it will be time for the start of half number 2.
Rashford, lovely turn, clever feet, brilliant finish. A goal from a man right on top of his game.
Marcus Rashford, a finish of huge composure. That is class.
Download the FlowSports app to watch the Premier League on Rush.
On the FlowSports app, you choose what you watch. Download now.
So welcome back to the Catherine Hall Complex, and we're going to show you this again. This is the first time that Clifton Woodbine went up to kick the penalty. Look at it, the goalkeeper moved off his line, and that is why the referee correctly, if we could have just dragged that back a little to give the viewers an opportunity to see it another time. Look at this. The reason why it was called back, the goalkeeper is not supposed to move until the player makes contact with the ball. Look at this. Look where White is, right under his line. As Woodbine approaches, he steps off. The ball is not yet kicked, and he was off his line well before Woodbine kicked. And that is why the penalty was retaken. And that is why Woodbine, on the second time of asking, buried it. So welcome back to Catherine Hall here in Montego Bay. And we're getting ready for the start of half number 2. It's St. Elizabeth Technical against St. Andrew Technical. This is the second game on the opening night of a Flow Super Cup 2017. You're looking there at referee Dwar, Sefton Dwar. And good first half we had. And again, if you're joining us for the first time, the opening game of the season went to Calabar. Yes, you're hearing correctly. Calabar beating Clarendon College by 4-3 in the opening game. St. Elizabeth Technical, sprightly start to the second half. They're darting down the left channel. A good cross is needed. One came across, but David Smith was right there to clean up the mess. He's remonstrating with one of his defenders. And a corner here to St. Elizabeth Technical. So early start to the second half for St. Elizabeth Technical. Ball swung dangerously in. White was there. Ball is still alive for Stets. Another clearance by St. Andrew Technical. So another corner for St. Elizabeth. Well, Technical from this side. Here they are, still alive. Chrysandro Dixon, the captain. Another ball is swung in by Robinson. And appearing on the back step, that was Romeo Wright chasing after it. Did the referee point to the corner? Yes, there's another corner for St. Elizabeth Technical. So at the start of the second half, St. Elizabeth Technical all over St. Andrew Technical in the early stages. Another corner from the far side. Let's see what this will look like. The ball swung dangerously in. Still in the danger area. And Smith, almost like a one-man band in the St. Andrew Technical defensive quarter. And the whistle went. And the free kick to the St. Andrew Technical team. So it's still 1-1 here in Montego Bay. So White in the St. Andrew Technical goal. Evening has worked out beautifully. We came here, it was raining like it was never going to stop. It did eventually, and it has left us with a very nice evening. St. Elizabeth Technical's back three has been breached once again, and a delay hanging off the flag by the assistant referee. The player was like 4 seconds into his sprint before the assistant referee over on the far side says he was offside. Well, Barrington Bailey was the stats player who thought he had beaten the trap set by the St. Elizabeth Technical defense. Here's Dixon for St. Elizabeth Technical, the captain, trying to calm things down. He should get his team to settle into a pattern. Is it overhit? No. Good control. St. Elizabeth Technical looking like a different bunch this second half. Here they come again. A wayward cross in the end. Coming in there from Ronaldo Webster. Webster put in a good shift for Stets in the first half. And he picked up from where he left off. Just now, that cross went wayward. It's a rare bad move by Ronaldo Webster. St. Elizabeth Technical again finding themselves in the danger area for Stats. So St. Andrew Technical spending the first 4 minutes of the second half trying to keep out the St. Elizabeth Technical attackers. They're swarming like bees. What were they told in the dressing room by Omar Wedderburn, St. Elizabeth Technical? They just look a different bunch. It's early days in the second half, but they really look much better than they did in the first half to start. Good control, the movement off the ball by Stets is just wonderful to watch. Here's Cassandra Dixon. Will he go for a shot? Yes, he will. What a wonderful shot. Good football all round because White was right into his stride as well and pulled off a brilliant save. He had to. That was just a torrid right footer from the St. Elizabeth Technical captain. They've been playing all the football since the start. Well, actually, it wasn't Cassandra Dixon who got that one in, but it was a real powerhouse of a shot. We'll tell you who it was in a bit. But St. Elizabeth Technical has been looking really, really good to start the second half. Still alive! And the goalkeeper picking that one out of the air. It had goal written all over it. So St. Elizabeth Technical asking all the questions. They're playing good football, but they already know that they're up against the goalkeeper, who is equally as brilliant. Stats trying to break away there through Johnson. But what a passage of play just now, the last 2 or so minutes. Good football all round. The fans enjoyed that passage of play with St. Elizabeth Technical asking all the questions. It was actually Romeo Wright who let fly that stunner. St. Andrew Technical, they're not sure if they know what hit them, because St. Elizabeth Technical is all over them since the start of this, the second half of this second game in the opening night of a Flow Super Cup 2017. Here they are. Not only are they passing the ball good, they're also running off the ball good. They're looking sprightly, looking like a team on a mission this second half, St. Elizabeth Technical. And there's a brief respite here for St. Andrew Technical. Goalkeeper Wallace has this one under control. Just now, Nick J. White, a little too clever for his own good. Woodbine. Good old-fashioned swing off the right foot. Ball went into touch, and it's a St. Andrew Technical throw. Omar Wedderburn, almost as if he's involved in this game as a player. He's doing so much down there in his own technical area. Here, St. Elizabeth Technical come again. Tajay Green. Still Green. Gets the ball back. He has his captain for support. Dixon, back to Green. They're just playing the ball in this small area of the field. Eventually Stats get a touch, and the ball is still with St. Elizabeth Technical. St. Andrew Technical needs to get their bearings back, because it's been all St. Elizabeth Technical since the start of the second half. Dixon with control, nice movement of the football. Alex Thompson. Dixon trying to get that one across, and it eventually fell to Robinson fortuitously. Showing too much of the football that time, Robinson. To Brown, but Stets wins it back. Courtesy of the captain, Andrew Dixon. Still St. Elizabeth Technical. That ball was sold short to Green, but still it is Stets' ball. Tajay Green with the throw. Stets looking quite irresistible at the moment. Look at this. This is just absolutely wonderful football being played here by the school from Santa Cruz. Again, Dixon, the marshal in the area. Will he let fly? Yes, he does. And he won't beat White. Too competent a goalkeeper for that to beat him. Even though we've seen so many strange things happen in matches like these, where the conditions, playing surface-wise, is slippery and can cause a lot of problems. But White that time held on very, very well and held on very nicely. But St. Elizabeth Technical playing some really, really good stuff here. Free kick to St. Elizabeth Technical, taken quickly. Dixon wants to get this attack going. Green looking for Dixon, didn't see him. It's almost like it's an arrangement between Dixon and Green. Whenever Green gets the ball, he looks for Dixon. Dixon likewise. That time he looked around and Dixon was marked out, so he didn't have anywhere to go and eventually lost possession of the football. But they're back with it, St. Elizabeth Technical. Clifton Woodbine. Now, what can St. Andrew Technical do with it? They rarely have possession of the football since the start of the second half. Referee allowing the play to continue. Wonderful bit of play here from St. Andrew Technical. This is Howell. Back with stats. This is Johnson. Actually, Barrington Bailey caught in the offside. And St. Elizabeth Technical, they're playing this 3 at the back so well. It's a very, very risky system to play. But if you play it well, it's beautiful to watch. Oh, Clifton Woodbine is such a marshal in that defensive area. Every time he decides to move forward, he makes sure to look across to see if his 2 flank defenders are coming with him. And if they're not, he calls them out. Just a bit too much on that one, Cassandra Dixon. Tajay Green was in no position to get to that one. And the possession has been given up. A change will be made by St. Elizabeth Technical. And the number 19 will be going on. He's Denroy Miller. And they will be taking off Romeo Wright. He got a very good opportunity, Romeo, in the first half. All he had to do was to keep the ball down and it would have been lodged in the back of the net. So the first substitution in this game. Here's Dixon. Palmer. Tajay Palmer. They're skipping away with the football. Now it's back, and White should take this one easily. St. Andrew Technical has an opportunity now to get into the 18-yard area. They've not seen it since the start of this second half. And we've played in this second half alone 13 minutes. And that was the first time St. Andrew Technical was getting into the 18-yard area for Stets. So dominant the Stets team has been in this second half. It was an even contest in the first 45 minutes. It's anything but in the second. Here's Tajay Palmer. Nice little live wire for St. Elizabeth Technical, just itching up just around the edge of the 18-yard area, just below. Working in tandem with Tajay Green and his captain Cassandra Dixon right across that midfield channel there. And that's where they are dominating. And that's where St. Andrew Technical is finding it difficult. Look at that the percentage possession, 6-5. Going into the break, it was 59 to St. Elizabeth Technical. And since the start of the second half, they've rocketed that percentage possession up, not just by a notch, but by 6%. That's a lot in football terms. Here's St. Andrew Technical over on the far side with a free kick. Goalkeeper Wallace bouncing on his line in anticipation. Ball gets to Johnson. Whistle on the play. The referee says Johnson was backing in on the St. Elizabeth Technical defense. And we're just on the hour mark. And we remind you, the closer it gets to that time, if at the end of 90 minutes the teams are still tied up, then they'll go straight to penalties. No extra time will be played, not only tonight, but not in the Flow Super Cup 2017. Tajay Palmer again. Stets keeps possession. Here they are. Barnt Dixon losing out that time to St. Andrew Technical. A long chase here for Barrington Bailey. Won't get there. Ahead of his Stets opponent. Howell. Easy clean up there for Clifton Woodbine. St. Andrew Technical weathering the storm, the St. Elizabeth Technical storm. And every now and again they launch an attack of their own. Goalkeeper Wallace had a lot to do since the start of the second half. Still Stets. Good sharing of the football. They look really good until that. Another of the Stets player having a good game, Alex Thompson. That long-range effort that brought out the best in goalkeeper White was taken by Thompson. Alex Thompson, just about 25 yards away from the goal. It was a rocket of a shot, but that man proved equal to it. Can Stats create something meaningful? Goalkeeper came right on the brink. Almost pulled out of picking that ball up. It's almost like you could see him thinking about kicking it instead. But he looked down a second time and realized he was still in his area. And he played it safe by picking the ball up. So we've not really seen anything special from Stats since the start of the second half. But you bet if it goes into penalties, they're going to be favourites simply because of their outstanding goalkeeper White. And you get the impression that that is also weighing on the minds of the St. Elizabeth technical players as well. Get the job done in normal time. Because if it gets to penalties, this goalkeeper is going to be huge. So the drums and the vuvuzelas from the St. Andrew technical players, supporters are going off again. And they're also thinking of making a substitution. Very rare you see a number 10 on the bench, but St. Andrew Technical has a number 10 on the bench. He's John Henry, and he's about to make his entry into the game. Here they are coming forward, St. Andrew Technical. A rare attack, centered right around the D for St. Elizabeth Technical, and a free kick to boot. So they're soaking up the pressure, weathering the storm. Very confident that if it goes to penalty, they could very well have the upper hand. Here's the movement which brought about the free kick. Tripped over there. And the Stets player, Nick J. White, was right on spot. He was the offender on that occasion. So a free kick, a referee pointing to his whistle. It simply means, do not kick until I blow. So Johnson standing behind this one. The substitution will be effected before the kick. Will it? Yes, it will be. So the St. Andrew Technical number 10, John Henry, will be making his entry onto the field. Will the referee oblige? The assistant referee? Yes. So the substitution will be made. So Reed is coming off. Armani Reed. And John Henry, the number 10, will be making his way onto the field. So he's on in time for the taking of this free kick. A wasted effort. A flying header. And one that brought St. Elizabeth number 11, who has been having such a good game, Ronaldo Webster, to the ground. Both players falling over. With a strong aerial header. There's a robust Cassandra Dixon. Ball played upfield. Ronaldo Webster been eased off by David Smith. Smith would do well to get this one away, and he did eventually. Well, he's such a confident player. He held onto the ball in a very dangerous area. Could easily have lost it. Again, another one of the Stats attacking moves broken down by Stats, who themselves are off. Alex Thompson, another rasping shot. Didn't find its way to goalkeeper White on that occasion, but it was another powerhouse. Woodbine called upon to do another one-man cleaning up job. His defenders didn't come back in time. And that's the danger with this three at the back. You've got to work in unison. one piece of the puzzle breaks down and it could be detrimental. Just now Woodbine was looking for the other two defenders and found that he was on his own, and he had to make a rush challenge. Here's Nick J. Palmer. Ball is played into space. And behind the touchline for a throw into St. Elizabeth Technical. Nice flick of the football there from Denroy Miller. And for all the dominance of St. Elizabeth Technical, Stats not losing their shape, not losing their composure. Tajay Green, Miller, Green, David Smith to the rescue. St. Elizabeth Technical players thought they had a free kick won. The assistant referee right in front of the players says no. Here they come again. Cassandra Dixon playing in Tajay Green. What will Green do? Will he go for a shot? Will he go for a cross? And the ball redirected. And it's behind for a goal kick, says the referee. So Tajay Green, he could have done anything here, but he decided to try and play in Denroy Miller right in front of him, and Denroy Miller was trying to redirect the ball, succeeded only in getting behind for a goal kick to St. Andrew Technical High School. Approaching 70 minutes. So penalties if at the end of 90 minutes. The organizers have done away with extra time, and it's only for the Flow Super Cup as far as we know. Miller shoved off the football there by Andre Smith, and placing a nice ball to the man who just came onto the field, John Henry. Henry looks a speedy customer. Woodbine has been in the wars, breathing heavily. So really worked hard around the back there for St. Elizabeth Technical. Clifton Woodbine, not only tonight, but he has been one of their mainstays for the season. Stats slowly getting back into the groove that we saw them in the first half. And St. Elizabeth Technical not coming forward as much. But here they are again though. Ronaldo Webster. And the fans here at Catherine Hall, very interesting people. Just now the ball went to Ronaldo Webster, and someone in the crowd said, "Put her down now," which is a football, you know. Put her down now. I tell you. So the Flow crew, Daniel Savoy, Carlo Redwood, and Stephen Miller, the team who is trying to make it happen here. Another clearance by Clifton Woodbine, and the security personnel taking up their positions around the field, and that's an indication that we're getting close to that time of the evening, but it's still some way to go. Under 20 minutes in normal time, and I can't say it enough, because it's a play to the finish. You're used to seeing extra time and penalties. You won't see it here, not in the Flow Super Cup. Good move, nice bit of trickery there from the St. Andrew Technical number 6, Tevin Pinnock. Holding on to the ball is St. Elizabeth Technical. There's a long ball played into the area, but White was off his line in a flash. Genuine Pinnock. He's losing possession of that one. It's a bit clumsy. This is Tajay Palmer putting a good shift for Omar Wedderburn's boys. So Calabar, if they are not yet on their way back to Kingston, they must be somewhere in Mobay having a drink. They deserve it. Beating Clarendon College tonight by 4 goals to 3. What a shocker. Not many people have yet come to the realization of what happened here tonight. Clarendon dominated in every single aspect of the game. But in the end, it was Calabar who took their chances, and they took them well. And they hit Clarendon College at strategic points in the game, which made it very difficult for the boys from Chapelton, as good as they are, to get back into the game. We're not seeing a goal feast in this game like we saw in the first. Only 2 goals, and both coming in the first half. Stats breaking up another Stats attack, going on one of their own. Miller playing the ball behind his captain, Cassandra Dixon. Wedderburn is having a go at his midfield star. Look at him, it's languid and matter-of-factly, just strolling around on this lush green surface here at the Catherine Hall Sports Complex. Here's Stats though. They've weathered the storm. They've passed the period where Stats was utterly and completely dominant. And now they can feel a little bit more comfortable in building attacks of their own. They're not behind, which I suppose is the most important thing for them. Good move there just now from Tajay Green. Green to Dixon. How many times we've said that since night? Then Palmer. Stats looking a bit clumsy in the back for once. You're normally assured and confident. This is Palmer playing to the gallery. Green. The ball swung in and trying to get onto the end of that one was Dillon. Here they come against St. Elizabeth Technical. Didn't get far. Stats not at all looking worried, despite St. Elizabeth Technical giving them the run around the park. Slowly, as I said, getting back into their own, putting 1 or 2 passes together and going into the St. Elizabeth Technical danger area a lot more. Here is Dixon, the captain, looking for the return path. He gets it. Free kick one here. A yellow card will come, and the referee will only issue this yellow card because the assistant referee said it to him. Immediately the infringement was committed, the assistant referee did like this and shook his pocket, indicating to the ref that you must give a yellow for this. Let's see why. There you go, off the ball. That's easy. Very easy. He had no intentions of playing the ball. His interest was in playing the man. So Genuine Pinnock is into the little notebook that the referee carries in his pocket. And that happened on minute number 76. Free kick to St. Elizabeth Technical. Clifton Woodbine. He takes all the free kicks for Stats. Or so it appears, based on the number of times he's come forward to effect these free kicks. Here's Robinson, and the shot trying to prevent it. White, he's trying to prevent a corner. Did he? Yes, he did. And the assistant referee was right on the line to see it. St. Andrew Technical player is down in the area. Andre Smith. Down for the Bumper Hall boys. They've lost only one game this season. St. Andrew Technical, beaten by Kingston College last week Saturday. And St. Elizabeth Technical lost one game this season, beaten last week Saturday by Clarendon College. Sure, he's going to be feeling much better now. The ice pack applied to his chest. And you look at the St. Andrew Technical bench. Pensive looking boys, wondering if they're going to get a taste of the action, or maybe they're wondering, where does this game go next? What happens in the next 13 or so minutes? Will we go to penalties? All kinds of thinking must be going through the minds now of the coaches from the respective teams, because it's that time of the evening when you now start to say, okay, let's see in the next 3 minutes, if we don't get a goal, we probably should start think about who, if we have not yet selected them, will be taking the penalties. But in the meantime, they continue. The referee sprinting all the way from midfield to break up something. Oh, this was it. So Genuine Pinnock, who just got a yellow card, he's the man who was shown the yellow card. He's been given a stern talking to by referee Dwyer, who must have said to him, listen, you're walking a very, 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 very tight line. Be careful. Another yellow card will see him off. And not only off, but they have a very, very crucial game if they don't make it to the next round of the Flow Super Cup against St. George's College, which he would miss. But then he would miss the Flow Super Cup game semi-final if they manage to get there. And that was if he gets another yellow card, because he's really walking a tightrope. Tajay Green caught in the offside, and this coach is having a go at him. Omar Weatherburn. The Stats supporters have found their voices once again. The St. Elizabeth Technical supporters pensive. Most of them are sitting over in the covered stands, and the Stats cheerleaders are over there as well, maybe making life uncomfortable for their counterpart supporters from St. Elizabeth. Cassandra Dixon. Now this is Palmer. Very early ball to Robinson. Still Stets. Goal kick. Fans thought that Alex Thompson was kicked over. Thompson himself was looking for a free kick. Strong player is Thompson. So the countdown starts. 10 minutes of normal time to go. And if you notice, St. Elizabeth Technical is playing without their talisman, DeMar James. He was shown a red card in the semi-final of the Ben Francis Cup in that game against Clarendon College. And that is the reason why he's not here tonight. Here comes St. Andrew Technical. The ball played into Johnson. Too much on that one for Johnson. John Henry, the number 10 who came on for St. Andrew Technical. So the winner tonight will join Calabar High School in the semi-finals, and the next two semi-final places will be filled tomorrow night right here at this very same venue when Jamaica College takes on Dental and Kingston College battles Rossies. What a mouth-watering prospect. Tajay Green getting away, very well done, and missing from just about 6 yards out. St. Elizabeth Technical, and the man who has played probably the best for Stets tonight, Ronaldo Webster. He was surprised by that pass, but he shouldn't have been. No, he wasn't. He was steady, but he skied that one. He was looking to guide the ball into the top of the net. Oh, that left foot of his, but lacking in direction. Here's Stats. There's a long ball. Will he get to it? A chance for St. Andrew Technical. And he delayed it. That was a very good chance. What was Giovanni Howell thinking? The moment he got to that ball, he should have lobbed the goalkeeper. We'll have to see that again. And for once, the St. Elizabeth Technical defense was breached. Here's another opportunity. Woodbine running to cover. And that, very intelligent bit of play because it put the striker off. Here's Howell. A long-range effort there by Nick J. White. Didn't quite come off. So St. Andrew Technical sensing that something is in it for them. Is it a case of them going for it in the last 7 or so minutes? Let's have a look at it again. There's a long ball played in, and Howell right there. Why didn't he apply the left foot? Just lob the goalkeeper with the left foot. Yes, he's right-footed, but goodness, go for it. Throwing to St. Andrew Technical over on the far side. We're edging ever so close to the taking of penalties. But we still have just about 6 minutes plus added time to go. St. Andrew Technical bossing the football in the last couple of minutes. And 2 St. Andrew Technical players were in the offside position. They were trying to come back. Almost as if they were trying to drag themselves back. But not quickly enough. So Giovanni Howell will be taken out for St. Andrew Technical. And the substitution will be confirmed in short order. Nice getaway here for St. Andrew Technical. Giovanni Johnson, the man who got the goal, the lone goal for Stats. What did he just do with that one? Was it a shot? Was it a cross? What was it? So now the substitution will be made. So St. Andrew Technical taking off the number 5, Giovanni Howell. And going on is the number 16, Tajay Watson. So Tajay Watson now onto the field. Giovanni Howell is off. So we're in the 86th minute. We're edging close to the taking of penalties. And now the teams can start thinking about it. But this is Johnson. He's thwarted again by this well-organized St. Elizabeth Technical defense. Now Stets looking to capitalize on this breakaway move, which saw them outnumbering Stets going forward. Green, Tajay. Throw to Stets. The drama of a penalty shootout is just around the corner. Tajay Green will try to prevent that. And not like that. Here's the man who just came onto the field. The number 16, Tajay Watson. This man may very well now have one eye on his strategies, which could unfold in the next 10 or so minutes, because we're inching so close to that moment when it will just turn into a lottery. And it just comes down to the goalkeepers. Well, it will come down to the kickers as well, but the goalkeepers are central to the penalty shootout. But we're still somewhere away from it. This is Chrisandra Dixon trying to prevent it. And White off his line in a very, 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 very quick manner. Lays down on the football, cutting away at a few more seconds. He's beaten tonight by a penalty. He has been beaten tonight by a penalty already, White. So he can be beaten from 12 yards out. It's a corner here for St. Andrew Technical. So the St. Andrew Technical players, based on their body language and their reaction to things like these, you get the impression that they don't mind penalties. They have so much confidence in their goalkeeper because no one has yet gone over to take this corner. Why not? That's an indication that they don't mind the penalties. Not that they want it, but if it's one team that don't mind it, you just get the impression it's stats. And it all comes down to the confidence that they have in their captain and the goalkeeper. But they have a corner to take over on the far side. And Stets will get this one away quite easily in the end, you would think. High clearance. Noel Walker. And for once, it's not David Smith. Long ball. This is the man who just came onto the field, Watson. Holding up the ball nicely. And it's trying to tee it up for Shamir Gibbs. We're in the 90th minute. Could we have penalties? Will we have penalties? That will be answered shortly, one way or another. One of the teams will score, or the minutes will run out, and penalty will be used to decide this one. We just have to see how much time is added. In the meantime, St. Andrew Technical trying to defend against this attack from St. Elizabeth Technical. They've done well thus far. They've given up a throw over on the far side. And it's the two goalkeepers, the two reserve goalkeepers from St. Andrew Technical, well, are sent to warm. So it's a 3 minutes of added time. And a long ball played into the area. White advances. Oh, anxious moments there for all of Bumper Hall. We look at it again, the goalkeeper. What was he attempting? Did he want to punch it? Did he want to hold it? You just never know. So a substitution will be made here by St. Andrew Technical, and normally at this time you get the impression that the coaches with one eye on penalties, probably putting on players who they know can take the penalties, are good penalty takers, and that's what St. Andrew Technical is trying to get their player on before the time is up. And they're trying to get who on? Aspriel Alexander and the number 18. In the meantime, St. Andrew Technical with a long-range effort. Coming in there from Noel Walker. So we're into the second of the 3 added minutes. St. Elizabeth Technical hurrying. They want to close the deal before penalties. Nobody likes the penalties. Nobody. Well, maybe the spectators. But these players prefer not to have it. Here comes St. Andrew Technical. Broken up again. Here's Cassandra Dixon with pace and urgency. This is Palmer. Work his socks off tonight for his school. Throw in to St. Elizabeth Technical. We're coming close to the end of regulation time, and Stats will get that player on. They're hell-bent on getting on Asprey Alexander. So, who is going to be off? They're going to be taking off Shamir Gibbs. So Shamir Gibbs is going to be off. He comes off now, and Asprey Alexander is on. Let's see if it gets the penalties, if Alexander will be amongst the 5. Corner to St. Elizabeth Technical. Could this be the last opportunity for them to get the winning goal? This very well could be the last meaningful action in regular time. We are heading for penalties. Can St. Elizabeth Technical prevent it? Can they stop it? They're calling for a football. It's going to be taken from the near side, from Javid Robinson. St. Elizabeth Technical, they've committed quite a few bodies forward. Here is it. The ball is swinging in the area, and it's away. Not far though. It's still in the danger area. St. Elizabeth Technical still can't get the ball in. It's a throw, and you just get the impression that this is going to be it. This is going to be it. Before the taking of penalties, we're heading there some way, somehow. It's going to be a long one, unless we can get the deadlock broken from this play. It's going to be penalties. It's still in the area, and St. Andrew Technical gets it away, but it's still in the danger area, still around the back. And now we will be going to penalties for sure. We will be heading to penalties in the second game of the doubleheader. The opening night of Flow Super Cup 2017 has thrown up drama after drama after drama. And we're heading to penalties in this one. And the man who is about to make the final kick in regular time could be very, very pivotal to the outcome of tonight's second game, because we will be going to penalties. What drama we have here tonight. Both teams have given it all they've got in regular time, and it's now left to 5 players on one, 5 on the other, and more importantly, the custodians. What will be the outcome tonight? It's 1-1 at the end of regular time. That's what we are sure about. What we do not know is what will unfold after the taking of penalties tonight. But it's been a gripping night here in Montego Bay, and it has set the stage for what's to come for the rest of the competition. The officials have gathered in the middle. They're going to be deciding on which of the goals to use, and you get the impression they might use the one away to our right, the one that looks brighter. Let's see which of these 2 areas look brighter. You get the impression the one away to our right is the referee. Duar is just consulting his fellow officials, and they're going to have the names of the players who will be taking the penalties for the teams. Here's the highlights. No goals in the second half, but close chances. That was a rasping shot there. There he is, Alex Thompson. Wow, what a shot, what a save. Good football all around. That was a flying header that brought about a yellow card. Here's Tajay Green, and he was playing Denroy Miller, who was trying to redirect the ball. He did redirect it, but not where he wanted it. That was a yellow card there. The captain for St. Elizabeth Technical was hammered. Here's Tajay Green again, and the ball played over. The St. Elizabeth Technical number 11, Ronaldo Webster, and the referee Duar says enough is enough. So the captain's meeting with the referee and his other officials to spin the toss, the coin, who will kick, who will get the opportunity to decide what to do. So you don't have to kick first if you win the toss. You decide what to do. So referee Duar is pointing to And also he gets to decide, I suppose, where the kick will take place. So they'll be using the goal away to our left. That's the one in which the area to which St. Andrew Technical was kicking to in the second half. Good. So, the formalities of what and when to do for the penalties and where to do are now done and dusted. It's now over to the players. Over to the players. Gripping stuff here. A tantalizing cold night here in Mobay as we look at some more of the highlights. In fact, the goals. This is Giovanni Johnson playing the ball between the legs of goalkeeper Wallace in goal for St. Elizabeth Technical. That happened on minute number 5. And it was a shocking lead taken by St. Andrew Technical. But to be fair, they were playing really good football at that stage. This is the penalty. A hit on the hand of the ever reliable David Smith, and Clifton Woodbine stepped up and did the rest. He had to do it twice, but he did it right. And that is why we're here. At this moment, in this moment, for the taking of penalties. The teams will now head to the center of the field. The goalkeeper for St. Andrew Technical has left the playing area, is gone across to relieve himself. So who will kick first? The referee still has the ball in his hands. So we're still waiting on what decision was arrived at. So both teams have now converged in the middle of the park. The referee will move to the penalty spot, and it is St. Andrew Technical who will kick first, because the St. Elizabeth Technical goalkeeper is walking to his goal. So Kenware Wallace will face the first penalty. So the 5 for St. Elizabeth Technical, it's clear who they are. In the middle of the park, they're sitting in a line. We're not seeing their numbers, but I can tell you, Chrysandra Dixon will kick. There they are. So Chrysandra Dixon will kick. At the front of the queue is Clifton Woodbine. There is also Miller. We can see Miller from here as well. In the number 19, that's Delroy Miller. So we have identified 3 of them. There they are, just moving forward. And of course, the number 9, Alex Thompson, will get one as well. But it is St. Andrew Technical who will kick first. So the 5 penalty kickers will be Thompson, Chrysandra Dixon, Woodbine, Miller, and Ronaldo Webster. So St. Andrew Technical will have the first bite of the cherry, and the man tasked with the responsibility of putting St. Andrew Technical in the lead is Noel Walker, the number 3, who was a star man at the back for St. Andrew Technical during normal time. Hans Akimbo, he stands on the line, he kicks, and the goalkeeper saves it. He's distraught. He's distraught. So, the first penalty of the night, and St. Andrew Technical are behind. They've missed their first penalty, and Woodbine is walking forward to take the penalty kick here for St. Elizabeth Technical High School. Can he give them the lead? A proud goalkeeper just kneeling across the goal line, just waiting for his turn to face the second penalty. But he's there hoping that Clifton Woodbine can beat this outstanding goalkeeper from St. Andrew Technical High School, Jadine White. he stands on his line. Arms wide open. And he's ready. And Woodbine misses. Woodbine couldn't repeat what he did in regular time. And both penalties, one has been saved, the other kicked wide. Woodbine going for the same spot he went for when he beat White in regular time, and White just trolling him. And what effect will that miss have on St. Elizabeth Technical, because Woodbine was seen as their lead man, the shore man, and if he misses, what next? The second penalty here for St. Andrew Technical. The first one was saved. Noel Walker couldn't make good. The second one comes back off the frame of the goal, and it is Asperlo Alexander, the man who they rushed to get onto the field before regular time. Clearly he was a penalty specialist. He has missed though. The ball coming off the frame of the goal. So after 3 penalties, none yet to be converted. Jadine White will have to go back. So 3 kicks so far, all 3 have missed. Alex Thompson. Finally, actually, it is Nick J. White. So Nick J. White stepped up, and finally, one has gone in. So Stets, they've taken the lead. Well done with the side of his right foot. Placement and power. And the boys from Santa Cruz have their noses in front. They've ticked the green box. St. Andrew Technical. This is Mr. Dependable, David Smith, the rock at the back. Will he prove to be likewise from the spot? You bet. You just bet. So, Stats, they've drawn level, but they've kicked 1 penalty more. Well done. Almost down the middle. And he's trying to get the fans behind the team and into the game. 1-1. But Raciz and KC tomorrow, JC and Dintil. This looks like Javed Robinson, the number 12. In the back of the net, down the middle. So Stats, well, it's the number 8 numbers on the backs of the shirts of the players as they walk. So it's Kenra Wallace. We've got a side-on view. So Stats back in front. No, we can't miss with this one. This is Mr. Johnson, the man who scored in regular time for St. Andrew Technical. Wallace just bouncing on his line. It's difficult to see the numbers on the shirts of the players because of the side-on view that we have. But this is Johnson for sure. He got the goal for Stats in regular time. Can he do it again? This time from Nera. Yes, he can. What a calm customer. What a very, very calm customer. This boy's a personality. So Johnson, and we don't need to see the number on the shirt of this man. He is Chrysandro Dixon, the captain of St. Elizabeth Technical High School. So it's 2-2, but we remind you, St. Elizabeth Technical, they have 2 penalties remaining. Stats They have won. So it's 2-2. This is their penultimate penalty, St. Elizabeth Technical. In this period, mind you, they can go into sudden death penalties if it's not decided in normal penalties. Dixon steps up and beats the goalkeeper to his right. So steps and he's pumped. He's feeling it. He's sensing it. And he thinks that St. Elizabeth Technical could bag a victory here tonight. So they lead by 3-2. St. Andrew Technical must score this penalty. If they don't, then they're out. It is as simple as that. They must score. And the man who has gone forward to do the honors here is Barrington Bailey. He must score. If he doesn't, then St. Elizabeth Technical are through. No, he keeps it alive. So it's 3-3. St. Elizabeth Technical, once they score, they're through. It's 3-all. And now, this is the man who we thought had stepped forward initially. Now he's stepping forward. It's Alex Thompson, the man in the number 9, looking to send St. Elizabeth Technical back to Santa Cruz tonight happy, but more importantly, to the semi-finals of the Flow Super Cup. Jadine White stands on his line, hoping for his first save of the competition. And St. Elizabeth Technical are through to the semi-finals of the Flow Super Cup 2017. Alex Thompson with a final and decisive penalty, putting them through to the semi-finals, and they're celebrating like crazy. He's distraught. Is disconsolate. The goalkeeper, J.D. White, is a very good goalkeeper, but tonight the St. Elizabeth Technical players, they didn't allow him to see, let alone smell, the penalties. The one penalty that was missed by Stets was the one that went wide. Here is the crucial moment. This is the closer. Down the middle, side-footed with the right foot, and he wheels away in celebration, bringing his teammates from the bench in jubilation, and those who were sitting in the middle of the park watching the drama. And of course, the fans in the stands who are heading back to Santa Cruz in a convoy, very, very happy. Those will be heading back into Kingston, very distraught, very disconsolate, very disappointed, and they'll now be focusing on their playoff. John Henry was a second half substitute. He can't get up off his stomach just yet. One or two of the stats players are still down. A heartbreaking loss here tonight, and it's going to take a while for them to recover from this one, because going into the penalties, you would have thought, because of the superiority of their goalkeepers, they would have been. And Jamaics from the coaching staff of St. Andrew Technical just going across to congratulate the St. Elizabeth Technical players in a nice show of showmanship. So 4-3 in the end. St. Elizabeth Technical are victorious. You've joined Calabar in the semi-finals of the Flow Super Cup 2017.
And Gabriel Jesus pounces to give City the lead.
Beautiful, broad, blue Brazilian smile. Gabriel Jesus wins it with the last kick of the season, and Gabriel Jesus has his goal.
Download the FlowSports app to watch the Premier League on Rush.
On the FlowSports app, you choose what you watch. Download now.